And we're back. Another Saturday, another exciting show. Today's going to be a really special one because I have a really great guest installed here for you today. This is Dawood Bedrosian, your host for the fourth episode of my weekly show, Real Sense Now. So what's our show all about? We've designed the show Real Sense Now to share and give you the facts on all things real estate, whether you're a buyer or seller, ways to find lucrative investments, what to look for when you're searching for a property or a vacation home, tips and tricks on buying a fix or flip, and most importantly, we're here to show you how owning real estate is essentially the cheat code to your success, plus a whole lot more. So if you're tuning in for the first time, we're here every Saturday between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. And within this hour-long show, we cover all things real estate. So you may be at home right now, starting your day, wrapping up a late breakfast, maybe even getting ready to go out and look at some homes. And before you start driving out and looking at homes or going to open houses, or, you know, when your wife pulls your arm on the while you're driving and she's like, honey, stop the car. There's that nice house that I want to go see. They're having an open house over there. I really want you to listen into the show and understand this great information that we're going to be sharing with you. Because these pearls of wisdom, you're going to be getting from an expert that has been in the Orlando market for generations. The information that they have to share, plus whatever additional tidbits that I have, are really going to help shape and form your understanding of a really important topic that we have to share. So let's get into the show and let's share with you what we're getting into. So I don't know if you've been living in a bubble or not. And no pun intended, if you've been quarantining at home without knowing what's been going on in the outside world, the housing market here in Orlando has been pretty much on fire. Why? Well, a lot of people that have been sitting in their homes through the pandemic have been deciding what their next moves are going to be. And a lot of people have realized that purchasing a new home because they got sick and tired of staying where they're at because their house is too small, maybe they don't have the things that they want, and with all of the changes that have happened with our lifestyle, has really kind of formed and shaped the reason why Orlando is one of the hottest real estate markets in the country, undoubtedly, right? So let's get into this and understand why. So first things first, we've had a complete shift in our work habits and the way that we conduct business. All of a sudden, we have a wave of relocations that have been made possible by people working at home, and more importantly, shutdowns and lockdowns that are happening in various cities throughout the country, right? First and foremost, the greatest driving factor as to why that is because interest rates are at a record low. I mean, last week, the interest rates were under 3%, 2.8, 2.9%, may have creeped up a little bit this week, but regardless, money is cheap. It's almost free to borrow money to get that dream house you're looking for. In other words, with a low mortgage interest rate, you can actually improve and get a greater purchasing power, whether you're buying your first home, second home, or vacation property, right? Secondly, you have a lot of first-time home buyers that are entering the market. The largest cohort in our demographics that we have are millennials. These guys are turning 30. They have very critical information on what they want for their new household. And the oldest millennials are also maybe even trading up from a smaller place to a larger one, or they may be even renting a place and now are in the market to buy something new, right? As a result, 2021 home sales are expected to even grow larger while prices simultaneously are going up. The reason for that is because we have a low inventory level in our market. And as a result of that, you're having buyers having to compete fiercely on putting in contracts on homes at higher prices, going to multiple offers, and many times even above asking price. I mean, guys, I was out with clients looking at homes for the last month. I've written 3 contracts for these homes and lost all 3 times. Why? Because the asking price per square foot in these subdivisions are not justifying the actual list prices for what these homes are driving. And people are forced, because they don't have inventory, love the house, to actually pay that top dollar. And as a result of that, we're beginning to find an imbalance between a supply of inventory that is available with this overwhelming demand that we have in the market. And as I said, you have this competition amongst buyers that are pushing up these home prices, which is great news for a seller because their prices for staying in their houses are appreciating literally day after day. The only problem is these home prices that we're looking at are driving up so much that if, mark my words, we're going to have an issue with matching appraisal values to these actual contract prices that we're running into. Another really important fact is that a lot of professionals have started to learn that working from home is actually the new norm. And as a result of that, they're changing their house preferences in seeking more homes with greater spaces, more office spaces. And I'm sure if you're going out to look at a house, if you're going into an open house, those are some of the new trends that you're going to see definitely with new construction. So when you combine record low mortgages, forbearance programs that are working with people to have them still stay in their houses, and a stronger housing market, you can only anticipate that prices are going to go up further and further and further. You're seeing a trend of millennials that are moving into suburbs or even mid-sized cities like ours because of the pandemic, moving away or relocating for bigger cities, from the New Yorks, from the Bostons, from the Chicagos. We have an overwhelming amount of people even relocating from California. Guys, our median price point in Orlando hovers between $280,000 and $290,000. In California, Eric, listen to this. This is really good. The median price is $500,000 more than the median price here in Orlando.
That's weird. It's wondering why all those people are leaving to Texas and Florida.
Right? Well, Texas, unfortunately, doesn't have any
they're
power.
They're not doing good right now in Texas. But, right now you're seeing California bleed. I mean, they're going to Arizona. They're going to Texas. They're going across here to Florida. You can't afford those houses out there.
Absolutely. And you know what's happened as a result of the pandemic is it's accelerated what, a lot of people consider a generational trend, right? They start getting married, maybe have more children because they've been sitting at home doing nothing. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of Corona babies coming up. And of course, they're desiring more space, right? That little space that they've been living in, they've been cooped in, now they have greater options.
Oh, and you hit it on the nail on the head right there when you said about that. People have been sitting in their house and they've seen every little thing they hate about their house now for almost a year. You get a person that works from home, they're going, why don't I have an office in this house? Why do I,
Exactly.
Why don't I have a porch that I can go sit down in when the weather's cool? Why don't I have a pool? They're sitting in these houses going, why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? I got the money for it. And I'm staring at these walls that I've seen for however long. I'm ready to get a new house, get out of here and go someplace else.
You know what I did? I divided my house into different parts of where I like to hang out. So my living room, I converted into like the AMC movie theater. The pool area, I called kind of like hanging out in South Beach, and like maybe had like a glass of wine or something to hang out during the day and cool off because I couldn't go anywhere. Yeah. So, but I'm going to tell you this, mark my words. Okay, this is really important. Listen closely, everybody. Rising prices of these existing homes will only drive more buyers to consider a new home now. Why? Because the existing home prices are matching new home purchases. So let me ask you this. There's this kind of like untrue fact, or it's a fact, but it's not really true given the circumstances that we're in today, is that new homes price per square foot is actually more expensive, maybe about 5-10% than existing homes. But in today's market that we're in, you're seeing new home builds that actually match existing home prices. So let me ask you this. If you had a choice to move tomorrow, and I know we've been talking about, considering getting a new home and stuff like that. Would you like to move into a new home or would you like to move into an existing home?
No, of course you'd want to move into a new home. Move into a home that, already that's yours, that maybe hasn't had whatever. It's a blank template for you to do what you want to do with it.
Correct. And you know what? This is going to get really interesting because I think as we start to dive deeper into all of this, we're going to learn more about that, right? So, we're anticipating that there's an additional appreciation that we're going to experience in 2021 that's even greater than what we saw in 2020. That's going to drive these prices by about 7 to 10%. And we're going to ask the expert that's sitting in here in our next segment to ask us about, to comment on this as well too, right? So as we're seeing faster rising prices and, which may cause maybe like a barrier to entry for a lot of new buyers, I think the interest rates are really going to ameliorate that concern because now the interest rates are lower. You're going to have a greater purchasing price power to be able to get into these homes, right? And with a new administration that we have, we don't know what we're going to do. We've heard a lot of different rumors that they may be rolling out some programs with a $15,000 assistance for buyers and stuff like that.
I don't know if that's necessary right now, though.
I know, but you know what? If I can get that extra money,
Yeah,
why
it's
don't I
great
just
to have
take
it,
right?
But I mean, I look at the area I live over. I live over in the Deltona area, and that's mainly blue collar, middle income and lower. Houses I see in those areas, though, they are on the market for like a week. And so there's no negotiation going on. The person's coming in there with what the amount the seller wants, and here's whatever, boom, cash in hand or whatever, because they're not staying on the market.
And you know what's funny? You say that there's actually a lot of homes that I've been seeing that are coming onto the market that have been on the market literally for 0 days, meaning they list them that day, they get sold that day. Right? And I think what's happened is with the advent of technology, there's a lot of great things that you can do even while you're sitting remotely in your house halfway across the country. That's going to help you with virtual tours that your agents can help you with, to e-closings and locking in rates and stuff like that. And I think we're going to definitely see a greater demand as the market starts to stabilize, as we start to get more vaccinations rolled out, and more importantly, Biden doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that you're going to see kind of like hammering away on a Twitter feed.
No.
Stabilizing the market here, right? So anyways, back to what we were saying. The question really comes down to, should I buy a new house or should I buy an existing home? And, a lot of the times, a lot of people will say you're going to get more bang for your buck for an existing home. And I really want to kind of like bust this myth here, because I think what's going to happen is there's pros and cons depending on what your circumstances are. Depending on where you're trying to go, what I think you're going to find is, unless you're looking for a desired area, you're going to get a greater home with greater value, bigger home at a really great price in a lot of great areas that are popping up in Orlando. Take Winter Garden, for example. Take Lake Nona. 2 really flourishing areas where there's a lot of advantages in doing that and moving into these areas here. In our next segment, I'm just going to let you know, we're going to talk about the importance of certain things, both pros and cons, when you're looking at building a new home. We're going to dive deeply into that. And I really want you guys to stick around because I have a really special guest. I have Mr. Vishal Gupta. He's the CEO of Park Square Homes, and he's going to help answer all of these questions and give you some really great feedback on what's going on in the Central Florida area. Guys, stay tuned. If you want to get in touch with me, you can always reach me on my website, realsensenow.com. You can catch me on social media. My handle is Dawood Bedrosian. You can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And of course, call into the show 321-339-1055. Stay tuned. My next guest is one you're not going to want to miss.